Welcome to Byte-Sized Tech, where we blend casual conversations with insightful discussions on the latest in technology and gadgets.
Hey, everyone.
Today we're doing a bit of a deep dive, actually. It feels like we're getting a backstage pass to some pretty serious cybersecurity happening.
Yeah, definitely feels that way.
We've got a situation brewing with, the rulebook for digital vulnerabilities, the CVE program, and then, totally separate but maybe connected in theme, some really eyebrow-raising allegations about a company called Doge and their access to government systems.
Right, two big stories.
Stick with us because, this stuff is really the nuts and bolts of how we stay safe online. And, well, look like things are getting a little bumpy.
That's a good way to put it. It's like we're seeing potential cracks, not just in, the software we use, but in the very systems designed to protect us.
Yeah.
Raises some big questions about how resilient our digital world really is.
Okay, so let's start with CVE. For those of us maybe not deep in the cybersecurity world, what is it? And why should we care right now?
Right. So imagine every single potential weakness, every flaw in basically all software and hardware out there.
Okay.
The CVE program, which IMIRE has run for ages, is essentially the master list, the index for all of them. Every flaw gets its own unique ID, a CVE number.
Like a serial number for bugs.
Exactly. And that common number lets security folks, developers, even your antivirus, talk the same language about these vulnerabilities.
Oh, okay.
It's really the foundation. Without it, it'd be chaos, like trying to find an address with no street signs.
Got it. So the essential map for the bad stuff.
Yeah.
Which makes this letter that came out, April 15th, makes it sound pretty alarming. What was that about?
Yeah, that letter basically sounded the alarm. It highlighted that MITRE's contract with the U.S. government to run CVE. It was ending.
Oh.
And, well, there wasn't a clear plan for renewal then. And considering IMIRE's been doing this since, the late 90s, that caused a lot of uncertainty.
Right. And weren't they also talking about layoffs?
Exactly. Adding to the worry, MITRE had already announced pretty big layoffs coming in June. Over 400 people, I think.
Right.
So the whole thing looked, precarious is the word.
Okay, potential meltdown of the vulnerability catalog. That sounds, not good.
Definitely not good.
But then, almost immediately the next day, we hear about this new CVE foundation. That was fast.
Incredibly fast. April 16th, the day after the contract news, boom, announcement of the CVE Foundation. It's a brand new nonprofit set up specifically to, take over the CVE program.
Okay, a rescue plan.
Sort of. Now, it's important it's not formally part of MITRE, but, and this is key, some of the main people from the original MITRE CVE board are involved.
So there's experience there, continuity.
Right. It's like they're setting up a new shop, but with seasoned managers.
Ken Landfield, he's involved in both, right? He had a strong quote about this.
He did. He said something like, CVE is too important to be vulnerable itself, which, really hits the nail on the head.
Yeah, sums it up.
Everyone gets that the program just has to keep going, can't stumble.
Right. But, okay, just when it looked like, okay, new foundation, new plan, CISA steps in with the last-minute save for MITRE. Bit of a plot twist.
It was, a bit surprising. CISA's, that's the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, they reportedly gave MITRE an 11-month contract extension, right at the wire.
Why? Just to keep things running?
Pretty much. A CISA spokesperson said the CVE program is, quote, invaluable and a priority. Said they used the contract option to make sure there was no gap, no disruption in service.
Okay, so crisis averted for now. What about those MITRE layoffs and the new foundation? Are they just waiting?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? This extension buys time, keeps the lights on. But yeah, the layoffs at MITRE, as far as we know, are still planned. And the CVE Foundation is still building its plan for the long haul. So while the immediate panic is over, the bigger questions about sustainable funding and who really runs this critical thing long term, they're still there.
Definitely a watch this space situation.
Absolutely. To be continued.
Okay. Let's shift gears. This next one feels a bit more cloak and dagger. The Doge security concerns.
Right.
We've got old whistleblower Dan Baroulis. He's a DevSecOps architect. So security and development. High-level clearances, too.
Yes, that's right. And his testimony. It's pretty explosive stuff about Doge's access to government cloud systems.
And we're not talking small mistakes here, are we? These sound like major red flags.
Oh, absolutely. Baroulis reported some really unusual activity after Doge got access. First off, demanding root access.
Which is the keys to the kingdom, right?
Right.
Not normal for contractors.
Exactly. Highly privileged, usually not handed out like that. Then he said logging was turned off on accounts Doge used. Security tools disabled.
Whoa. So no record of what they were doing.
Yeah, that seems to be the implication. And then they saw these huge spikes in data leaving the systems, outbound traffic, sometimes over 10 gigabytes.
In gigs. That's a massive amount of data to just be flowing out.
It is. And then comes the really disturbing part, the Russian IP addresses.
Yeah. Tell me about that. That sounds bad.
The report says IPs originating in Russia tried and successfully logged into these brand new Doge accounts. And get this, within 15 minutes of the accounts being created.
15 minutes? That fast? What does that even mean?
Well, it strongly suggests one of two really bad things. Either Doge's own systems were compromised beforehand, letting the Russians know immediately.
Okay.
Or even worse, it could point to, direct data transfer. Someone actively sending info to Russian entities.
Wow. Okay. That's the kind of thing that keeps security people awake at night.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't just a theoretical risk, right? It actually cost money.
Apparently so. There were reports of an 8% jump in the government's Azure cloud bill that lined up with this activity.
So real financial impact, too.
Adds another layer to it, yeah.
And this isn't just one guy, Baruli, saying this. NPR found others.
That's a really important point. NPR reported they talked to, I think, 11 sources, people inside federal agencies, Congress, familiar with operations.
And they backed him up.
They corroborated the concerns, yeah. And some apparently saw other evidence pointing to possible data exfiltration by Doge. So it paints a much wider picture of concern.
Okay. And for anyone listening who wants the deep details, Matt J. did a write-up of the whistleblower report. We'll link that in the description for you.
Definitely worth a read if you want the specifics.
Right. Now, before we wrap, there's one more sort of cybersecurity adjacent story making waves. Former President Trump and Sentinel-1 clearances. Feels connected to this whole theme of trust and security, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It's separate, but it definitely touches on that intersection of, politics and cybersecurity. Trump apparently revoked security clearances for all Sentinel-1 employees.
All of them. Why?
It was stated as part of an investigation into Chris Krebs. Remember him? Former CISA director?
Oh, right. The guy fired in late 2020.
For disputing the claims about the election being rigged.
Yeah, so this is fallout from that.
It seems to be. There was an executive order for a full investigation into Krebs, and it included revoking his clearance and the clearances of companies he was linked to.
And Krebs landed at Sentinel-1 after CISA, didn't he?
Correct. His security group got acquired by Sentinel-1 in 2023, and he became their chief intelligence and public policy officer.
So Sentinel-1 got caught in the middle. How did they respond?
Publicly, they said they'd cooperate with any review. Initially, they kind of downplayed the business impact, saying it affected fewer than 10 employees.
Okay.
But then, literally the next day, April 16th, Chris Krebs announced he was stepping down from his role there, said he needed to focus on fighting this situation.
Wow. Okay. So, summing up, we've got potential fragility in the system that catalogs vulnerabilities.
Mm-hmm. The CV program.
Serious allegations about a government contractor, data breaches, possible foreign links.
The Doge situation.
And political actions impacting clearances at a cybersecurity firm.
Sentinel-1 and Krebs.
Yeah, it feels like a lot of pressure points are showing right now in the cyber world.
I think that's exactly right. If you step back, these different events, they really highlight the ongoing complex challenges in just keeping our digital stuff safe, keeping sensitive info protected.
It's not just about code, is it?
Not at all. It's deeply tangled up with, how these critical programs are funded, how they're governed, how contractors are watched over, even politics. It really needs constant attention, a really broad approach.
This has definitely been quite the look behind the curtain today. Really shows how complex keeping things secure actually is.
It really is. And maybe the thing for you, the listener, to take away is just how much our digital security relies on this whole ecosystem, programs, people, policies, and all those pieces can be vulnerable themselves.
Well said. Thanks for tuning into Byte-Sized Tech. If you enjoyed the episode, like, comment, share, and subscribe for more fun tech discussions.
We'll keep an eye on how these stories develop. Catch you next time.